The U.S. left Afghan airfield at night and didn't even tell the new commander. This is in reference to Bagram Air Force Base. Are you freaking kidding me? Whose idea was that? How would you think that was a good idea? After the Supreme Court fails to uphold the eviction moratorium, the Biden administration issues a new eviction moratorium just after the federal ban lapsed. Are you kidding me? This guy doesn't think the law applies to him. Thinks he could just go over the Supreme Court? The Biden administration will reportedly offer COVID-19 vaccinations to illegal immigrants in U.S. custody at the southern border, amid record crossings and a surge in infections nationwide. Why not just give them a freaking plot of land and a mule, man? You know what I'm saying? What the hell? Biden praises Cuomo just hours after he resigned over sexual harassment allegations. Come on, man! The final collapse of the 20-year Western mission to Afghanistan took only a single day as Taliban gunmen entered the capital, Kabul, on Sunday. President Ashraf Ghani fled the country, and America abandoned its embassy in panic. What the hell, Joe? Biden says the buck stops with me, while pinning blame on Trump and many Afghans. Man, this dude, I can't keep up with this dude. He's making news every day. U.S. drone strike on ISIS-K suicide bombers in Kabul also kills 3 children and other civilians in their home after it sets off explosives packed into jihadist cars, as Taliban says it welcomes the American missile attack against terror group. Biden bombing babies. All right, here we go. Yes. Wait a second. Taliban demand all foreign forces out by August 31st deadline? They're making demands now? I can't keep up with this shit, dude. What's this? Afghans fall from U.S. military plane after clinging to aircraft in shocking video. What is up, and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, I will say. I haven't recorded in about a month, mostly due to the fact that, as you can see in the intro, I couldn't even keep up with this news cycle. So I want to talk today about all of the abysmal failures by our government in the past month. All right? So if you haven't been to my channel before, my name is Justin, and I talk about random issues that I find in today's culture, politics, whatever I feel like making a video about. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. Okay. So, anyways, let's get right into this, and I will show you exactly all of the stories that I was talking about. You can find the links in the description to the stories that I mentioned, and let's get into this. U.S. left airfield at night, didn't tell new commander. Bagram, Afghanistan. The U.S. left Afghanistan's Bagram Airfield after nearly 20 years by shutting off the electricity and slipping away in the night without notifying the base's new Afghan commander, who discovered the Americans' departure more than 2 hours after they left, Afghan military officials said. Afghanistan's army showed off the sprawling airbase Monday, providing a rare first glimpse of what had been the epicenter of America's war to unseat the Taliban and hunt down al-Qaeda, perpetrators of the 9/11 attacks on America. The U.S. announced Friday it had completely vacated its biggest airfield in the country in advance of a final withdrawal the Pentagon says will be completed by the end of August. So they completely withdrawed from their biggest airfield before the withdrawal. Who is in charge here? Whoever made that order should be fired. Where is the accountability for that? Why? There are American citizens that are still trapped in Afghanistan right now, today, as of 9/6, and it just infuriates me that somebody made this choice. I don't understand it. Maybe there's information that I'm not privileged to see, that I don't know, but this is ridiculous. Somebody needs to do something about that. U.S. military spokesman Colonel Sonny Leggett did not address the specific complaints of many Afghan soldiers who inherited the abandoned airfield, instead referring to a statement last week. The statement said the handover of many bases in the process soon after President Joe Biden's mid-April announcement that America was withdrawing the last of its forces. Leggett said in a statement that they had coordinated their departures with Afghanistan's leaders. If that was true, then how did they not know? Okay, that is not true. Before the Afghan army could take control of the airfield about an hour's drive from the Afghan capital, Kabul, it was invaded by a small army of looters who ransacked barrack after barrack and rummaged through giant storage tents before being evicted, according to Afghan military officials. Quote, "At first we thought maybe they were Taliban," said Abdul Rayouf, a soldier of 10 years. He said the U.S. called from the Kabul airport and said, "We are here at the airport in Kabul." Kohistani insisted that the Afghan National Security and Defense Force could hold on to the heavily fortified base despite a string of Taliban wins on the battlefield. The airfield also includes a prison with about 5,000 prisoners, many of them allegedly Taliban. So we gave up the airbase, and the Taliban came in and freed all of the prisoners. That's great. Add them to the army. Okay, but this isn't even like the beginning. If you want to read through this whole thing, unless you want me to make a 40-minute video, go to the link in the description and you can read it for yourself. I'm not gonna sit through this whole thing. I got plenty to cover. All right. So shortly after that, you could see the Biden administration issued a new eviction moratorium right after the Supreme Court deemed the first one to be unconstitutional. So days after a national eviction moratorium expired, the Biden administration on Tuesday issued a new, more limited freeze that remains in effect through October 3rd. Like the previous order, the 2-month moratorium issued Tuesday comes from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. Who gave them that power? Who gave the bureaucrats at the CDC the power to control your private property? Just think about that. That is the government seizing your private property and saying you cannot evict the people who are inside of that. That is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, I believe. Whatever one is the one where you're not allowed to quarter soldiers in someone's house unwillingly. Like, it has to be willing. That is a violation of that. Okay. The new ban on evictions covers part of the United States that are experiencing what the CDC calls substantial and high spread of the coronavirus. As of Tuesday afternoon, that's the vast majority of United States counties. The order, which cites the rise of the Delta variant, says without this order, evictions in these higher transmission areas would likely exacerbate their increase in cases. I don't see how that is even relevant. It shouldn't even. The spread of the disease is not going to be controlled by where people are living. These people, they've had multiple stimulus checks. They've had multiple unemployment opportunities. They've had multiple opportunities to go out and find jobs, pay for these overdue rents, and they haven't even tried. Half the time, these landlords have seen in the garbage of their tenants multiple new devices or TVs or game consoles, and they're still waiting on that month's rent. So this is infuriating to me. It's who does Joe Biden think he is? Anyways, moving on. The U.S. reportedly to offer COVID-19 vaccines to illegal immigrants in custody. See, this one, I'm not too upset about this because, we gotta control the disease, the virus as it comes through our country. But why are we letting them into our country? They are illegal immigrants. They have no right to our medications. They have no right to our land. They have no right to our social welfare programs. They should not be there. They need to come through legally. Allow the legal immigrants to get vaccines and kick the illegal immigrants back out. You know what I'm saying? This is not proper etiquette by an administration. The Biden administration will reportedly offer COVID-19 vaccinations to illegal immigrants in U.S. custody at the southern border amid record crossings and a surge in infections nationwide. The Department of Homeland Security will provide the single-dose Johnson & Johnson jab to migrants soon after they cross the border and wait to be processed by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, two agency officials with knowledge of the plan told the Washington Post. So far, only a limited number of illegal immigrants have been inoculated while held in longer-term U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facilities, according to the paper. One of the officials said that the shots would be given to illegal immigrants facing deportation as well as those likely to be released into the U.S. pending a court hearing. Okay, so I guess that makes it a little bit better that they're giving them to both the people who are being deported and the people who are being let into the country. But at the same time, those are your tax dollars. So I don't understand why we are paying for other countries' problems. Like, we have our own problems to fix, and Joe Biden just keeps exacerbating every single problem at every single opportunity. All right, moving on. Biden praises creepy Cuomo just hours after he resigned over sexual harassment allegations. This was on August 10th. President Joe Biden got into a tiff with several reporters Tuesday after he praised New York Governor Andrew Cuomo just hours after the disgraced Democrat announced he would resign amid numerous incredible sexual harassment allegations. Gee, ever heard of Tara Reid? Look into Tara Reid. She's a alleged sexual abuse victim of Joe Biden's. No wonder why he's still praising him. Biden was speaking to reporters about his $1 trillion infrastructure bill when he was reminded by a reporter that he has over the years bonded with Cuomo specifically on the issue of infrastructure. Joe Biden went on to say, "I thought he's done a hell of a job. That's why it's so sad." Can you really say he has done a hell of a job? Is he accused of sexually harassing women? Said Caitlin Collins from CNN. Biden. The question is, did he do a good job on infrastructure? He did. Kate Collins. The question was, how did he do as a governor? Biden. No. Okay. The guy's disgusting. He has zero moral framework to be judging anybody. He has no idea what's going on. And it's just blatantly apparent, day after day, the American people are taking notice of this. So, I don't know, man. This guy, it's just a disaster. But, all right, moving on. Back to Kabul. The fall of Kabul. A 20-year mission collapses in a single day. President Ashraf Ghani flees to Afghanistan as Taliban sweep into the city to seize control of the country. The final collapse of the 20-year Western mission to Afghanistan took only a single day as the Taliban gunmen entered the capital, Kabul, on Sunday. President Ashraf Ghani fled the country. America abandoned its embassy in panic. Very similar to Vietnam. Isn't that absolutely disgusting? Like, come on. Even if the militants themselves were surprised by the speed of the takeover, co-founder Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar admitted in a video statement in the evening. Now the group faces the challenge of ruling, he added. They are expected to proclaim a new Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan soon. Many in Kabul do not trust promises made by the former insurgents of an amnesty for their old enemies and those, like women's rights activists, who saw a different future for Afghanistan. The airport was mobbed with thousands of people desperate to escape. In the evening, they flooded onto the runway, halting all traffic. And all of this peaked in everybody's seen the footage of the bombings and the people falling from the planes. We'll get to that, but let's go ahead and see what Joe Biden says about the situation, okay? Biden says, "The buck stops with me," while pinning blame on Trump and many Afghanistans. "I am President of the United States of America, and the buck stops with me," President Biden said toward the end of his address Monday in the debacle in Afghanistan. The vast majority of what Biden said before then, though, pointed anything but inward. He blamed everyone else for his mistakes. There was a plan in place that he just had to follow. It's just like the wall. All he had to do was nothing, and the problem would have been solved. And instead, he had to stick his hands into it, greasy it all up, and ruin all of the planning that was put in place by the previous administration. It's abhorrent. Okay, it's just disgusting. The theme of Biden's speech seemed to be, well, it wasn't, but it also wasn't our fault. As in, it wasn't a success, but it also wasn't our fault. Biden laid the blame for that mostly at the feet of Afghans of many stripes. He called out by name President Ashraf Ghani and fellow Afghan leader Abdullah. We talked about how Afghanistan should prepare to fight their civil wars after the U.S. military departed, to clean up the corruption in government so the government could function for the Afghan people, Biden said. We talked extensively about the need for Afghan leaders to unite politically. They failed to do any of that. Biden also added, "I urged them to engage in diplomacy to seek out political settlement with the Taliban. This advice was flatly refused." No wonder they're probably taking after America, where they don't negotiate with terrorists, because then the terrorists will do nothing but win. It's ridiculous. This dude is the president of the United States of America, and this is where we're at. Okay? All right, moving on. Afghans fall from U.S. military plane after clinging to aircraft in shocking video. I'm not going to show any video on this for today because it's just graphic and needlessly sad. Okay? 3 young men have reportedly fallen midair from a plane leaving Kabul after allegedly losing grip of the exterior of the aircraft, alarming footage appears to show. In a video uploaded by Afghan Vaka news agency has seemingly taken from the ground 2 unidentifiable. They are clearly identifiable objects can be seen falling from the body of the plane as it flies overhead. Yeah, and one of them was determined to be a 17-year-old kid. It was that is entirely Joe Biden's fault. It is squarely on the shoulders of Joe Biden. All right. Moving on. Taliban demand all foreign forces out of August 31st deadline. So now, yeah, apparently the Taliban are strong enough to be making demands. So that's cool. And Joe Biden is listening to them. What happened to this? If our previous administration were still in power, this would not be happening. Trump would be showing his strength and telling the Taliban that they will not be messing with any Afghan citizens who are supportive of the United States or our U.S. soldiers, and that we will take as long as we would like to evac out of that country that we just controlled for so long, you know? But I don't know. The Taliban is demanding that all foreign troops be out of the country by August 31st and is now banning Afghans from entering Kabul airport to board evacuation flights. The group's spokesman, Zabihullah Mujahid, I don't know, told a press conference Tuesday that only foreigners will be allowed into the airport from now on as the U.S. and its allies ramp up evacuations. The road to Kabul airport is closed to locals and open to foreigners. He said, "We are not in favor of allowing Afghans to leave." So they want to keep all the Afghans there. They want to execute all of the people who supported the United States, and they want the United States and all of its allies out. That's exactly what they've been wanting the entire time. So why not just give it to them? So in response to the bombing at the Kabul airport, Joe Biden went ahead and sent out a drone strike. And this is a result of that. U.S. drone strike on ISIS-K suicide bombers in Kabul also kills 3 children and other civilians in their home after it sets off explosives packed into jihadist cars. As Taliban says it welcomes the American missile attack against terror group. It's so apparent. Like, they want you to kill more kids. They want you to kill more innocents, because every innocent that we drone strike is 3, 10, 15 more terrorists that want nothing more than to destroy our country, because we freaking launched a missile out of the air and killed their whole family. 3 children were killed in a U.S. drone strike targeting multiple suicide bombers planning an attack on Kabul's evacuation airport just hours after Joe Biden warned of a possibility of another jihadist atrocity following this week's attack. Witnesses said the rocket strike blew up 2 cars parked outside a residential building near the Hamid Karzai airport, to the north of Afghanistan's capital. It is believed that the vehicles were going to be used in an imminent attack by ISIS-K militants. The strike on the vehicles, filled with explosives, is then believed to have caused a secondary blast, killing and wounding several civilians. This morning, as many as 5 rockets were fired at Kabul's international airport, but were intercepted by a missile defense system, a U.S. official told Reuters. An Afghan official speaking on condition of I can't even say that word, anonymity. I know what it means. It's like anonymous, but I cannot say that word. Out of security concerns, said that 3 children were among the dead. It is not known where the children killed in the incident were at the time of the explosion. All right, so now, every president from the past, since the year 2001, has drone striked children. I'm not saying that any of them are better or worse for doing so. All I'm saying is that this is just another piece of the puzzle that shows Joe Biden's abysmal failure in Afghanistan. All right, moving on. Americans left behind as final U.S. military planes leave Afghanistan. Major General Christopher Donahue, commander of the Army's 82nd Airborne Division, and Ambassador Ross Wilson charged the affairs of the U.S. Embassy in Kabul were the final Americans to step aboard the last U.S. military C-17 cargo jet shortly before it lifted off from the Afghan's capital's Seoul International Airport Monday. All told, about 6,000 U.S. citizens were evacuated from Afghanistan. They represent the vast majority of those who wanted to leave the war-torn country. Why is that the narrative? Those who wanted to leave. I doubt there are many people who want to stay. Marine Corps General Frank McKenzie, commander of the U.S. Central Command, told reporters Monday, quote, "There's a lot of heartbreak associated with this departure. We did not get everyone out that we wanted to," quote. But if we had stayed another 10 days, we wouldn't have gotten everybody out. It's a tough situation. It was both the end of a sometimes frantic U.S.-led sometimes it was absolutely frantic evacuation from Afghanistan, and the last action of a nearly 20-year mission in the war-torn country that began shortly after the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the New York and the Pentagon. It was not a cheap undertaking. In addition to the more than $2 trillion spent over the past 2 decades, America's longest war cost the lives of more than 2,400 U.S. troops and more than 20,000 wounded in battle. Okay, so this is clearly a colossal failure on our whole government's part. And to kind of showcase that, I'm going to show you a list of all of the potential equipment that was left there. So this is like, I don't think this is all of it that's left undamaged, but this is like the maximum amount of equipment that the Taliban could have at this point. So we're looking at 22,174 Humvees, 634 M117s or M1117s, 155 MXX Pro mine-proof vehicles, 169 M113 armored personnel carriers, 42,000 pickup trucks and SUVs, 64,363 machine guns, 8,000 trucks, 162,000 radios, 16,000 night vision goggles, 358,000 assault rifles, 126,000 pistols, 176 artillery guns, 33 Mi-17 helicopters, 33 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, 43 MD-530 Huey helicopters, 4 C-130 transports, 23 Embraer AMD Super Tucanos, 28 Cessnas, 10 Cessna AC-208s. You get the point. There's a lot of freaking shit there. And it's like, now, since the Taliban easily overran the Afghan army, the Taliban is one of the most powerful armies in the world. They have more Black Hawk helicopters than Australia. Like, what? How did this happen? And to show you, I just want to connect this to our foreign relations to our domestic relations. Okay, let's just show you that the Democrat plan that Joe Biden is a part of is absolutely insane, okay? We're going to talk about cash for criminals in San Francisco. San Francisco will pay residents to stop shooting people. What? President Obama created the Cash for Clunkers program to get people to buy more efficient vehicles, and now San Francisco's leaders are bringing the City by the Bay a pay for peace program that will provide income to individuals prone to shoot someone as long as they don't pull the trigger. Yep, this leftist utopia has figured out what it thinks is a simple solution to stem a rising gun violence. Just pay people to stop shooting each other. Like, what? San Francisco is launching the Dreamkeeper Fellowship, which will pay 10 individuals who are at high risk of being on the either end of a shooting $300 each month to not shoot each other. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Like, who thought this was a good idea? And just to show you that Americans are kind of freaking fed up with this shit, Joe Biden's approval rating is not good, okay? And right now, we're looking at, let's clear this. So right here, you're looking at Joe Biden's approval rating in the national economy, I guess. Oh, so the economy's approval rating, or how our parties are seeing the economy. Okay, so if you look at it, you got 34% of respondents say the economy is fairly good, 31% say fairly bad, 25% say very bad, 6% say unsure, and 4% say very good. Okay, so let's break this down by party. Okay, so Democrat Party. The Democrat Party thinks the economy, 56% think our economy is fairly good. Do you think it's fairly good? almost what 5.5% inflation in a year. Gas prices are over $1 increased in every state. I don't think so. Then you look over at the Republican side. 40% say fairly bad, and 40% say very bad. So that's 80% of Republicans think the economy is tanking. 2% say very good, 15% say fairly good, 3% are unsure. Let's go back to Democrats again. Let's see how many think it's bad. We got a collective of 28% of Democrats think the economy is bad, while you have 80% of Republicans thinking the economy is bad. There is a disconnect in our parties, and it is becoming more and more apparent, and all I can ask is for you to take notice and for you to spread the word. If you like what I'm talking about, if you think that I'm on the right track and that I'm doing the right thing, or I'm helping you understand what it is that if I'm helping you understand what is actually going on in our government, please drop a like, hit share, put a comment down below. I don't care. I'm doing this for me, but I want to help people understand the nuances of the news, how they lie about what our government's doing, and how every single person in our media that spouts these lies is basically guilty of treason. Like, we need to stamp out all of this bull crap. Okay, it's enough is enough. All right, peace.